In the past year, hospitals, pharmacies, tech companies have been paralyzed by ransomware attacks.
I read an estimate in 2025, there'll be $10.5 trillion in estimated losses to cybercrime. That is a very big number.
China's hackers are positioning on American infrastructure in preparation to wreak havoc.
Russia has proven its ability to use cyber attacks to shut down electric grids and compromised U.S. energy networks.
And the risk that poses to every American requires our attention now.
You wouldn't be able to get gas, you wouldn't be able to get food. This is something that if it does happen, it's going to make COVID look like a kid's show.
Cyber is a real domain of power.
With just a single text, it can bypass your phone's security and install spyware that grants complete access to your device. The spyware technology that makes this possible is called Pegasus.
Pegasus is the main product of a company called NSO Group, which is an Israeli surveillance company.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 IT information-based companies. All of these companies have major research centers in Israel. Not research centers, major research centers in Israel. Our NSA, which is called Unit A200, it's pretty big. How big do you think it is? Well, I'll give you a hint. You know the 5 eyes? Israel is the 6th eye? No, Israel is the 2nd eye. The United States is bigger than Israel. But it ain't that much bigger than Israel. Because the intersection of big data, connectivity, and artificial intelligence, and what it does in robotics and genetics and all the other fields, Uli, that you mentioned, everything, that is changing our world in rapid succession. And the future belongs to those who can seize this change. We are positioned right at the cusp of this change, right at the center of this change. We can take it, and we are. It's changing us. It's giving us powers and prowess that we never had before. And cyber is a real domain of power. It's a new kind of warfare, very different from what we've seen before. I'm talking about the capacity, and it's not imaginary, it's not futuristic, and it's not exaggerated. With the click of a button, you can bring down nations to their knees very rapidly, if you so desire.
This is arguably the single most important machine in the world right now, technologically, economically, and geopolitically. The scale of extreme ultraviolet lithography machines is mind-boggling.
Each device is the size of a bus, but is designed to etch patterns onto chips that are billionths of a meter across.
But despite the billions of dollars of investment from American companies like Intel and the US government, the first generation of devices all went to TSMC and Samsung. One of the ironies of EUV is that a lot of the underlying technology originated in the United States, but the direct and indirect beneficiaries of that technology haven't really been concentrated in the US. Essentially, the then CEO Brian Krzanich didn't think Intel could make EUV work profitably and would be fine without it.
Security researchers have discovered serious design flaws in chips from Intel and others. Brian Krzanich sold millions of dollars worth of his Intel stock after the company was told about these vulnerabilities, but before they were actually disclosed publicly.
Intel's leadership team under Krzanich really gave away the keys to the kingdom.
This is NVIDIA's H100 chip. It takes thousands of them to train just one AI model. Almost all of the world's supply comes from one small island, Taiwan, and the vast majority are made by only one chipmaker, TSMC. China has been clear about its intention to eventually take control of Taiwan, which could have devastating consequences for the current AI revolution. To reduce the risks, the US is investing billions of dollars to shift the supply chain back home.
We're going to make sure the supply chain for America begins in America.
Today we mark one of the largest investments ever in our nation's history in semiconductor manufacturing.
So how did all of that power wind up so concentrated in the first place?
China's Belt and Road Initiative, shifting the world's center of gravity from the Atlantic to the Pacific. This is why many of us urged the United States to join the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank when it was proposed by China.
But we're in a position now to compensate beyond anything that we dreamed of. This makes Israel very powerful.
I found that Microsoft core codes their products in Israel. These products are being used by our Pentagon, our weapons labs, Boeing, your local businesses and universities. And they're core coded by graduates of the Israeli Military Intelligence Program, Talpiot and Unit 8200. Many of the Talpiot and Unit 8200 graduates are the sons and daughters of Russian emigres who fled the Soviet Union after the fall of the Berlin Wall. Isn't it odd how Russia and China seem to be able to easily hack our US technology? Could it be that Vladimir Putin made sure his people are deep inside Israeli high technology and their industrial base? I believe so. Benjamin Netanyahu and his Likud party have utterly betrayed the United States. They were front and center in conducting espionage against us to assist Russia and China. We need to face the fact that we are facing the greatest espionage scandal in history.
Hey, check it out, man. National security issue that America's facing right now. You know about cyber attacks? You're seeing this movie Obama made called the Left the World, Leave the World Behind? It's pretty wild stuff. But it's a real threat that we're facing right now, and it's kind of a problem, so I'm trying to spread awareness about it.
Hey Steve, real quick, I want to give this information. Russian penetration of Israel, cyber attacks are on the rise because of Russia and Israel. So I want you to look into that for me, please. Awesome, man, appreciate it.
Israel is actually an ally, okay? But if you're going to be an ally, it's two ways. You got to be an ally. Netanyahu has been rubbing up on China.
Congressman, I just had some information for you. It's some serious information about Israel working with China and all high technology being exported out of the country. So I have some information for you about Microsoft, Intel, Qualcomm. All of their R&D has been moved to Israel, and we have this rise in cyber attacks. What do you got, Chief? And is this something you could look into, possibly?
Really quick, he's late for this news hit, so let's
Hey, is this something you could look into for us?
My chief, Andrew.
Okay. So you got the card there, and he's gonna look into it. So appreciate that. Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, man. Hey, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Critical infrastructure.
Okay.
What do you, when I say that, what do you think that means to you?
Okay, so critical infrastructure, and we're relating this to politics, right?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, you have like the government running that, but like, what do you, I guess, yeah, it doesn't really matter. But what do you think when I say critical infrastructure? Like, what does that mean to you?
Okay, so my immediate thought, because I'm interning at a construction place, is like infrastructure that is critical to like physically standing at a place, like the sewer that runs through the streets.
Just based on critical and infrastructure, I would assume probably the building, like probably just buildings and how like maybe the age of certain buildings or their quality of them or something.
Like water systems and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's definitely true, but you know, being in the 21st century, a lot of that's tied to technology now. You hear about things like cyber attacks. China or Russia might be attacking a critical infrastructure center. You know, and it's like, it seems like that's happening more and more. Have you heard about that kind of stuff at all?
A little bit here and there. Like, I haven't looked into it a ton to like really like form an opinion on it, I feel like, though. You know what I mean?
Oh my.
I've got some information here because there's some pretty mainstream articles talking about how Israel is working with China, for instance. They're like kind of doing backroom deals with weapons technology and stuff. Plus, I mean, you know, Intel was kind of caught putting a lot of backdoors in their chips, and they pretty much, I mean, they run almost everything. It's servers and computers.
Yeah, I have heard of that, and that's something where, I remember from the Snowden leaks when those came out, Intel had like this whole thing called the management engine, which basically gave them a backdoor to like the hardware level processes on your computer chip.
Right.
That's disturbing. I personally do not use Intel products because of that.
Both Intel and Microsoft, their R&D centers are in Israel, so all the high tech development is done there, which doesn't make sense because like Intel, they have a huge facility here. Why isn't that done in America? It seems like a huge security risk. That's kind of why
it does. It certainly does. I know something that's kept coming up in the past few years in the news whenever like military budget discussions get brought up is we need to have a pipeline for developing technology here.
Yeah.
It's like if we want to do that, why do we keep, the main one I've heard about is Taiwan. Why do we keep basically relying on places in Taiwan to make chips for us and to make technology like that for us? But also, you know, why are we relying on so many places in Israel to do that?
Hackers from China and Russia are getting their hands on these like industrial controller chips that allow them to hack our critical infrastructure, and they're like these Israeli-made tools, you know, like toolkits ordered in Poland that allow them to just break into our system and do whatever they want, cause havoc. So that could be a serious problem.
That's certainly very disturbing. I didn't know that those toolkits they were using originated from Israel. One of Iran's overt goals is they want to take Israel out of the Middle East. So if you're an Israeli citizen, finding out that, you know, your country is involved in selling these components and these tool sets to a country like Iran, I can't see how they can abide by it.
Yeah.
Mr. President, I want to get back to Iran.
I had Iran in check. Do you know they called me to tell me we're going to hit a certain location, but we're not going to hit it. It's going to be outside of the perimeters.
Who called you?
Iran called me. So they aimed the missiles, but they said, please don't attack us. We're not going to hit you. That was respect. We had respect. When we took out Soleimani, you know, Israel was supposed to do it with us. 2 days before the takeout, they said, we can't do it. We can't do it. I said, what? We can't do it. He was going to attack 5 of our military bases, and we took him out. And we took him out without Israel, because Israel, 2 days before the attack, they said, we cannot participate.
Perhaps you can understand. Cyber is a real domain.